Hi Aries, how you going? Okay, let's do your weekly reading. So this is going to be for, well, all readings are actually timeless. All the intuitive readings are timeless. However, let's place it in this week, the week of March 30th, 31st. See what themes you're working with, Aries. Do I need to adjust that? Maybe not. Okay, how are you feeling? Let's check in to see what energies I'm picking up on for the collective Aries who are tuning into this message. Now be sure to check your other signs within your natal chart. If your sun sign message doesn't resonate for you this week, Aries, depending on what you've got going on, your natal chart might be able to point you into some more resonance. So a big theme for a lot of the zodiacs this week has been this higher perspective, this higher view, a spiritual outlook on our experiences. You know, globally, we're all going through unprecedented times. I'm just smiling because a lot of the readings are spiritually focused, and you know, we're all going through unprecedented times. Everyone, of course, has their own unique experience of it based on their circumstances and perceptions and whatever the case may be. However, it does seem to me that a lot of the zodiacs are seeking this higher view, you know. Your theme this week, Aries, is source. What does source mean for you? What does higher guidance mean for you? What does prayer, if at all, play in your life? Speaking to your higher self, talking with your angels, connecting in with deceased loved ones, whether you are religiously inclined, regardless of what religious, alignment you find yourself drawn to. This is the theme this week for you, Aries, and for the Aries that are picking up on this collective message, obviously, is there's themes around connecting into source. So twofold, okay? As with all the themes with the messages that come through, there's support available to you, Aries. If you're wanting some higher guidance at this time, there is messages within your dream state. Your angels are with you. Using prayer, take what works for you, connecting with what feels right for you. Maybe perhaps before everything happened, you were quite connected into spiritual aspects of yourself. And obviously with the circumstances going on, so many of us find ourselves having to hit the ground running, responding to circumstances that we weren't prepared for. So we're putting, spiritual beliefs and practices to the background for the minute. But this week is all about you connecting back into that Aries. Or perhaps if you never have, there may be some of you out there that are really being drawn to it, trying to understand all of this from a higher view. So first and foremost, I do want to encourage you then to reach out, connect in. And ultimately, all of the stigma, labels, dogma aside, when it comes to connecting into whatever God means for you, whatever source consciousness, higher consciousness means for you, angelic support, remove all the labels. This is ultimately about the energy and vibration of faith, believing in the unseen, choosing to hold faith in circumstances despite not having tangible physical evidence of why you should have faith, Aries. And it is in times like this that we ultimately get to put all of our masks down. We get, I've said this in a couple of readings already this week, it's times like this that we get to, when life shows us, it is so easy to press pause on the current reality. Everything just stops and falls away. How does that make us feel? What do I need to connect into in order to maintain my sense of equilibrium? And for many of us, Aries, we need to have a strong connection into faith of the unseen in order to feel secure. And that's the energy and frequency a lot of people seem to be working with, rightly so. We are in uncertain times. We're wanting to feel secure. It's a very human nature to want to feel secure and balanced. So take that along the spectrum, okay? There are messages in dream state for you, Aries. There's angelic and divine guidance available for you. And prayer is really nourishing for you at this stage. Meditation, okay? Let's see what the tarot might want to say. Source. You have a direct link to source. Oh my God, I just suddenly tasted porridge. Someone must be eating porridge. I know that's completely irrelevant to the card, but I get visions and I see and smell and hear things. So somebody that's watching this was eating porridge. We call it porridge. And what else? What else would you call it across the world? Oats? Someone's having porridge. It must be cold where you are. Aries. I'm going to put that down first. Oh, that wants to come out too. Okay, so this is going to be a love relationship / intimacy reading, I think. The Lovers and the Two of Cups, Aries, is what's going on for you right now. In the past is the Tower card. Okay, I think I can see a theme here. Above all this is the Three of Swords. Underneath this is the Strength card, the Nine of Swords. I'm starting to feel sad, my dear. Six of Swords, Four of Coins, the Page of Swords, and the Seven of Swords. Okay. Just give me a minute. I think what I'm picking up on primarily is a storyline that is ultimately... Okay. I've got you, Aries. I know where you're at. I do see that for many Aries that might be connecting into this message, they're feeling defeated because they feel like their plans have been thwarted, okay? Life put a big stop sign in front of you because you were unable to travel. There's a suitcase. I can see a suitcase at a door. There was sudden travel delays, and I think this was to do with this. And I could be speaking to Aries that are not connecting into their loved one right now. They're not able to be close to their loved one, but this is the start of something, okay? This is the start of a union. I don't see longevity in the past. I don't see existing longevity. It's a union that you ultimately wanted to see where it would go. Where would this chapter go? And then life happened. This happened to all of us, Aries. You couldn't go visit. You couldn't connect in the physical. You couldn't... There were plans that were thwarted, okay? I do see, for Aries out there, they're literally heartbroken about not being able to fulfill this next chapter in the journey of this connection. What I am intuitively picking up on, though, Aries, because above this is the Three of Swords and below this is the Strength card. Sure, you're feeling vulnerable because the situation feels heartbreaking right now. But I am picking up on an Aries, a storyline out there where I feel like it had to be cleared. Something like... Okay, bear with me. I'm picking up on an Aries that was excited about this new chapter in love. Okay, this new beginning. And in typical Arian fashion, you were, like a bull in a china shop perhaps, with your plans and wanting to really get this thing off the ground. I saw a packed bag at a door, and I felt like... I'm so disappointed because I can't travel now. The plan I had put in place, it feels like this, the plans had been put in place. Now, I'll tell you a couple of storylines I'm picking up on. I feel like it happened for a reason, Aries, simply so that you could actually review some deeper vulnerabilities here about an old heartbreak. Because if we're wanting to start something new, it is always best to be free of the debris of the past. I immediately saw cords. Okay, so there's a corded connection to the past. There's corded connections to intimacy, love, heartbreak. There's heartbreak that has to be faced first in order to truly experience this, because I think the path that you're on, Aries, the thoughts you're having, because I do see you feel like the physical barrier of not being able to travel, or the physical barrier that currently exists in your reality, is heartbreaking. What I do want to suggest is that when Source steps into your life, no matter how inconveniently that is packaged, it is always for a reason. So that was a specific message. I was picking up on one Aries. I'm also picking up on an Aries that has actually just found out some crushing news. Okay, so separate storyline. It is definitely to do with a new relationship, perhaps. You may have found out some truth about someone's deceptive behavior that you had only just met. Perhaps because of the conditions that we all find ourselves in, you found out they were... Yeah, that's a particular storyline. There's an Aries out there that actually thought they had a good thing going, found out some shocking news that ultimately is heartbreak, about deception. So someone was being deceptive, so perhaps they weren't being completely honest about being single. And, you know, when we find ourselves in isolation and having to quarantine ourselves with our family, perhaps they had a family, Aries, I'm sorry, I just got that story as well. So I do see here that you are moving away from pain, you are moving away from betrayal and disappointment and heartbreak. I do want to encourage you to release control, because I do see that there's an Aries here that is seeking some form of guidance, trying to understand, you know, why do people do that? Why do people lie? Why are people deceptive? Ultimately, Source steps in for a reason, and we find out when we are meant to find out. We experience what we're meant to experience, and we take the wisdom of that gift, because it is a gift, Aries, okay? Whether you are the Aries that has recently found out about some disturbing news, some heartbreaking deception, whether you are the Aries that has suddenly had your plans thwarted, you know, when Source steps in, it's for a reason. We are redirected for a reason. We are redirected in to connect into our higher knowing, to what spiritually nourishes us. We are shown the true colours, ultimately, of the people we thought we could trust. Because there's definitely an Aries here that is discovering, I'm covered in goosebumps. And this could even be happening right now, or, you know, soon. There's an Aries that is discovering the deeper motivations and intentions of an individual. It may be an air sign, so Aquarius, Gemini, Libra, but then again, obviously, when we find out shocking truth, and a lot of the energies I'm picking up on this week is predominantly air. We're thinking a lot of we're thinking a lot. So when the swords show up, it's a lot of thinking energy. But Aries, you've got the 9 of Swords, the 3 of Swords, the 7 of Swords, the Page of Swords, and the 6 of Swords. Now, and you've got the Tower. Don't be disheartened about all of the anxiety-ridden energy of these cards, okay? But I do want you to bravely step into the gift of their presence. You might be extremely anxious and stressed because of the circumstances you're finding yourself in, or because of the information that you are discovering. Definitely the 3 of Swords speaks of heartbreak, and all masks are off. The truth is there. And perhaps on some level you felt like this anyway. There was something up, okay? You are invited to connect into Source, because I don't see any intuitive cards on the table. So perhaps you were disconnected from your higher source, your higher connection, higher knowing. So I do want to say that for some Aries out there, perhaps there were niggling doubts, okay? But here is the truth and clarity, because in the recent past is the Tower. And I can associate that with our global circumstances, sure, but in your unique circumstance, I'm picking up on an Aries that particularly feels like their world came crashing down, the reality and structures of their world as they knew it, so the definitions of a new relationship or a love relationship or whatever, or plans that you had made, okay, had come crumbling down. You're very much up in your head, and this is ultimately, it's neither good nor bad, but ultimately does it nourish you? Sometimes we do have to process, go through those stages of grief, and as we rediscover equilibrium, Aries. However, this week the invitation is to go further still and then connect into what spiritually nourishes you, that connects you into faith. I know it's very easy as an outsider to say it's okay, it's happened for a reason, at least you found out, but when we are in the depths of those experiences ourselves, it's a different story. So I can sense here that I'm picking up on someone that does feel like they're going through quite a challenging time, and if you haven't quite found out, if there's someone out there that has a new connection going on or wanting to take something to the next level, Aries, I do feel like this time, this pause, this inability to connect, is all divinely guided, and there is information that will be revealed that is ultimately of value, because it's important that, and you deserve the truth, you deserve clarity of knowing, you deserve to know that whoever you're aligning with ultimately has your best intentions. And I don't feel that there's, if I'm talking to you, okay, so this is not going to apply to everyone, okay, you've probably had niggling doubts already, Aries, because when the Seven of Swords shows up, this is strategy, this is narcissism. I call it my narcissistic card. This is someone hiding something, okay? It could, when we go along the spectrum of what is someone hiding, sure, someone could be hiding their deeper feelings because they're not quite ready to express that. However, Aries, and I'll be honest, when I see this, you know, there's communications coming, definitely. You might hear word of it from outside of the connection rather than from the horse's mouth yourself. You might find out, like I said, I was picking up on a particular storyline that if this is a new connection, like I was trying to think of an example. Started dating, it's going great, we've made some plans for next steps, you're feeling sure of a connection, it feels really good, and then suddenly everyone gets put in lockdown, and then obviously we all have to isolate in our own homes with our families, and we discover that someone isn't single. Like I said earlier, I don't know why I keep picking up on that. It might be exactly what is happening out there for one of you. I do want to say, you can travel away from this. The reason this has happened, and as a consequence of this happening, you are moving away from deceptive behavior, you are moving away from pain. I want to pull some more cards just to get a bit of a story here, because ultimately I feel for the Aries I'm talking to, you were trying to hold on to something that was on shaky ground, that was uncertain, that you perhaps had niggling doubts, and at any rate wasn't what you thought it was. I'm speaking to an Aries that is particularly connected to a new connection or a love connection, okay? Now I feel like crying. It obviously means a lot to you. It's it makes you feel vulnerable. It's but this pause, okay? Let's make the most of this opportunity of this time to isolate ourselves. And by all means, Aries, reach out to friends that you trust, reach out to your connections that ultimately nourish you and support you, okay? Don't feel like you can't communicate. Even if this is a new connection, even if this was just, I just want to see how it's going to go. You know, we all put our heart out there on some level. And I do feel here something started that ultimately just ended, and it thwarted you. It really gutted you. And that's real too, okay? That shows the depths of your faith. Oh my goodness, Aries. It's very a melancholy sadness. How even the darkest gifts are still a gift. These readings are so deep this week. Even the darkest experiences are still a gift. They come wrapped in dark wrapping, okay? Because it's not bright and it's not fluffy and it's not all that glitters is not golden, but this, you know, we know the pain, the betrayals, the dark experiences, you know, they're still a gift because we learn something from that. And despite someone perhaps choosing to be deceptive, despite someone breaking your heart because of their deceptive behavior, despite feeling completely like our world's come crumbling down because someone was not who they said they were, or something didn't quite work out the way we had thought because we went in with a pure heart, that's not a failure, Aries. Because you connected into the energy of faith. You chose to love, you chose to open your heart, you chose a new beginning, you chose faith, and that is not a bad thing. That is the gift of that light that ultimately lies underneath the dark wrapping. And if that storyline doesn't apply to a particular scenario that is mapping out now, I do want to say what I was originally picking up on is, in order for you, the reason you had to press pause, the reason life had to press pause on your plans, Aries. So for someone that was about to do something, okay, there's that packed bag. For the Aries that was about to go and do something, embark on a new chapter with a new relationship, whatever the case may be, if you find yourself in lockdown, it is in order for you to truly clear this out. Old stuff, old energy cords,